Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. Geno Smith versus Jared Goff. Part 3. Revenge of the Lion. The Lions finally get one from the Seahawks, 42-29. Mukilteo Football Show coming to you a day later than usual. It is Tuesday, not Monday. But, it was tough to get the podcast yesterday. We had the family over for Kirk's birthday, pizza that arrived an hour and a half late. Uncle Darryl. We had beer going. The kids are all here. Honestly, I had to rewatch the highlights of the game today because I just wasn't prepared to podcast, because I was paying attention on the touchdowns, but I wasn't really fully watching this game. And I didn't watch a single play of Miami Dolphins versus Tennessee Titans, nor do I care to. And I don't even want to talk about it today. That's on them. That's on them. Boring. I saw Mason Rudolph was in the game. I was like, oh, God. I don't know. I wanted to take today. Get in here, Lions fans. Get in here, Seahawks fans. Let's talk about this cool little trilogy of games that we have had. And the Lions finally get one from us in the Seahawks, but we've got these 3 high-scoring September games. So they're all in September. They're all in Detroit. They're all in consecutive years. So 2022, 2023, 2024. We have played and had thrillers. Just darn right thrillers between Geno Smith and Jared Goff, of all people. I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully we get another one. Hopefully it's more than a trilogy. Geno Smith across this trilogy, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns and an interception. He's got a rushing touchdown as well. Jared Goff, almost 1,000 yards, 993 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which were both pick sixes. And he's got a receiving touchdown now as well. So huge production out of Geno Smith and Jared Goff in these 3 head-to-head matchups. And that's not even all the touchdowns. The Seahawks and Lions have had plenty of rushing touchdowns. Kenneth Walker now has 5 in this trilogy. 2 are Rashad Penny. The Lions have 2 apiece for David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamal Williams. Touchdowns in these matchups. 223 total points. Each team across these games is averaging 38 points and 450 yards. I don't know, I just feel some symbiosis for Lions fans. The rest of the NFL didn't experience this. Week 4 in 2022, week 2 last year in 2023, and then week 4 here. All these September shootouts we got going between Geno and Goff. And just try to take yourself back to 2021. When Geno was still a backup for Russell, when Goff was, trade bait to the Lions, and everyone was wondering who would be the Lions quarterback after Goff. I mean, who could have predicted back then that these two would have a high-scoring head-to-head duel across seasons? I mean, it's amazing what Geno Smith is doing at all. Just perspective, for me as a Seahawks fan, but he was an afterthought in 2021. Just thinking about a time traveler from 2021 trying to explain to them that Geno and Goff have a 3-game series with 38 points a game apiece. Try to explain that to somebody from 2021. Geno was toast. He was an afterthought. He was an afterthought. Because he was on the Giants in 2017. I mean, I don't think people even knew where he was by 2021. Because he was I think 2018 was with the Chargers. 2019, he wasn't even on a team. Then 2020, over to Seattle during COVID and stuff like that. Nobody really knew where Geno was at that point. It's been 6-7 years since he'd been drafted in the second round by the Jets, an afterthought. And Jared Goff was a laughingstock. Do you remember 2021 Jared Goff? He was a laughingstock. He was traded from the Rams to the Lions, and it wasn't Goff for Stafford. People like misremember this trade. Taking Jared Goff was part of the payment the Lions had to make to the Rams to get some of the first round picks. Like, it wasn't a quarterback trade. Goff had just been horrible in 2019 and 2020 with the Rams, to the point where they get to a wild card game in 2020 and Jared Goff isn't even worth starting. He's benched. Got this huge contract and he's benched in the playoffs. Really, really bad. Career looking like, maybe he's got a future as a backup. Then he gets traded. The Rams got Stafford and the ability to not pay Goff. That's what the Rams got. And the Lions, they got those picks, 2 first-rounders and a third-rounder. I mean, the implication was that if Goff was not in this trade, the Rams would have had to pay less picks. Then the Rams win the Super Bowl with Matt Stafford. And Goff is leading an 11. What are they? The first game they won in 2021 was like week 13. They were 0-10-1 at one point. Goff was a joke. He was a laughing stock in 2021. Geno was an afterthought. No one even knew what team he was on. And now the next 3 years, both of them having just huge resurgences to their career, and these matchups in particular are insanity. They look good in these games. Like Geno, I mean, some of his like career highlights are in this trilogy. It's just cool to me. And to say that we're here and battling out every year in September is fun. 2022 was that first game was 48-45, the 16th highest scoring game in NFL history. And then last year, the Seahawks pulled it out in overtime, that beautiful 6-yard Tyler Lockett touchdown from Geno. That was tied for the 432nd highest game of all time. Still wildly entertaining. And then this one, the Lions get one, 42-29. I do have to laugh. The over-under for this game was 47. The last 2 times the Seahawks Lions have played, they've scored 93 points and 68 points. And today they scored 71 points. So they beat the over by 24 points. Probably should have bet the over. This game, I thought the Lions were really going to handle it and we were going to be embarrassed. I thought the story was going to be the Seahawks without Pete Carroll don't have a candle in this trilogy anymore, because that is one big difference. We talk about Geno versus Goff, but it was also Carroll versus Campbell. Now we don't have Pete Carroll. Seahawks have Mike McDonald. So we're thinking maybe that's part of the problem here. We had a lot of defensive players out, and I say we because I am a Seahawks fan. And the game started, Detroit got a stop. Then they drove for a touchdown. DK Metcalf fumbled the ball. Detroit returned that into the red zone. Would have been nice for Detroit to return that as a defensive touchdown, because in the last 2 games of the 2023 and 2022, Seahawks had a pick 6 in both of those games. But Lions still punched that one in. They're up 14-0 to start the second quarter. And we're just like, uh-oh. Like, Kirk and I got a text from Dad that was like, well, we can't run, pass, stop the run, or stop the pass. But other than that, doing great. It's like, us Seahawks fans were very pessimistic. Kirk and I on the preview were like, we haven't played anybody. Our defense has got nothing, hasn't proved a dang thing, beating Skylar Thompson and Snoop Huntley or, Jacoby Brissett or, Bo Nix's first game. No, we haven't proved nothing. We're going to get blown out. That's what we all thought. But the Seahawks, The Seahawks cut this game to a 1 touchdown lead 4 times. And all 4 times, the Lions expanded it back to a 2 touchdown lead. It was the ping pong, back and forth. Like Metcalf set up two touchdowns. First, he got a good catch to the 1 yard line, and Kenneth Walker touchdown, and then he was another deep shot a little bit later. That was defensive pass interference that set us some in the red zone for another touchdown. Both times after those Metcalf set up touchdowns, both times the Lions drove the subsequent drive down to put them up 14 again. One of those, a St. Brown throw to Jared Goff. Who had that on the bingo card? Good call by Joe Buck. The Detroit special. Following this throughout the party, it was hard to be like, it was sort of like, oh, is it a blowout or not? It's like we're either down by 7 or down by 14. We're down by 7. Okay, we're down by 14. It was happening like quick. Even after that St. Brown to Goff touchdown put them up, I think 28-14. That drive, that Seahawks drive after that was Geno's best drive. Just scrambling, spinning, finding Lockett in the middle of the field. He had a good one to DK, eventually another touchdown. That was such a great drive to get it back into a 1 touchdown lead. We went for 2 there. I tried to look it up. Mike McDonald basically said, if you get the 2-point conversion, then you just need a touchdown and extra point to win. And if you don't get it, you got another shot at a 2-point conversion anyway. So I can kind of see that, but I don't think you had to mess with that, in this scenario. And DK Metcalf did catch that 2-point conversion when he got interfered with. If we would have challenged that, we would have lost 45-31. I don't know what I'm saying. Because the Lions just kept going. Ben Johnson, Jared Goff. We brought it within 8. And big play to Jameson Williams, and it was back up 14 or back up 15. It was just constant. And there was one more too. Kenneth Walker with that 21-yard run that went wide left and cut all the way back across the field to the right pylon. Thing of beauty. This was a great game to watch during a party because a lot of games are boring. This one always had some reason to engage back with the TV. Good and bad. We're up 14 or we're down 14. Oh, and we're only down 7. Oh, we're down 14 again. Hey, we're only down 7 again. Oh, yeah. We had a little window. We got to stop. We got the ball back. We're only down 8. So I was thinking, put the chips down, set the kids aside. Like any good shootout duel, though, Geno's only magical when Goff was magical. Because Goff punted, so Geno had to punt. Got a 3rd down incompletion, and the Lions drove the next one to put them up 15 points for the 5th and final time. Lions win it. Detroit's 3-1, Seattle's 3-1, though obviously Detroit is the Super Bowl contender here out of us, but I was impressed with Seattle today. If our defensive pieces can get healthy, I think we got a real shot at the playoffs. I don't know if we're going to win the division, but I think we got it. It's realistic to think of the Seahawks in the playoffs, and if our defense can gel, if it can be healthy, I could see something. I could see something good. Or 14 minutes in, and the biggest story out of this game is Jared Goff was 18 for 18. The perfect game. I don't particularly care for that headline, frankly. Goff was good. 18 for 18. He was good. He's had 3 great games against us. Finally didn't throw a pick 6 this time. But 18 for 18, 292 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. I know he also had a receiving touchdown, and all credit to him. But in terms of calling it a perfect passer game, 18 for 18, 292 yards and 2 touchdowns, that's just don't call it a perfect game. I would rather have 23 for 28 and 330 yards and 3 touchdowns right? And that's not even a crazy stat line. So to call something a perfect game and to call something historic when such a not pedestrian, but such an attainable stat line is better. Like 25 for 30, 319, and two passing touchdowns. That's better. Like, I don't care if there's 4 or 5 incompletions. That doesn't matter. More yards, more touchdowns. Like, there's just no comparison to a perfect game. And maybe I'm just being sensitive. Like, maybe they're not talking about baseball and they're just simply talking about completion percentage, which who cares? Who cares? But just don't call it a perfect game. There is a such thing as a perfect game. It's 27 straight outs. It's when a pitcher gets 27 batters out in a row. And the pitcher doesn't get to just face 18 and hand it off. They have to face 27 outs. This Goff thing is more like he got 12 strikeouts with no walks, real efficiency. But you kind of wonder, like, what was the rest of the game? Like, did he finish the game? Did he give up any runs in between there? That's more than it's like, I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this. It says perfect game on The Athletic. And ESPN, Scott Van Pelt's talking about perfect game. Dude, a perfect game for a quarterback is complete annihilation, domination, not completion percentage. A perfect game equivalent of getting 27 batters out is like 6 passing touchdowns, 400 plus yards, 0 interceptions. That's like a quarterback dominating, annihilating a team. Not 18 for 18, 292 and 2. Okay, my rant about that is over. Goff won. I'm not bitter about it. I'm rooting for the Lions. If I had my choice of NFC teams to go to the Super Bowl, I'm picking the Lions. So, the other story here is some of the calls. Like, and I am a Seahawks fan. I don't like that Tyler Lockett offensive pass interference negated a 4th down that we were trying to cut the lead for a 5th time to 1 touchdown. That call is BS. There's another call that's been getting more guff, which is DK Metcalf on a free play getting interfered with in the end zone. And I could see it, like, it could be called, but my Homer family was calling for a PI, and so was my Homer friends on the internet. DK was falling kind of without the contact, and he's just a bigger guy. It's kind of like Shaquille O'Neal rules. You can just foul Shaquille O'Neal more than you can foul, Hershey Hawkins. Why is that the guard? Why is that the NBA player that I chose? Shaquille O'Neal to Hershey Hawkins. Oh boy, that's funny. He's like our shooting guard for the 90s Seattle Sonics. Like our 3rd most famous player after Kemp, Peyton, and Shrimp, and after Vin Baker. Anyway, the point is, if that same move happened to Tyler Lockett, it's probably DPI, but because it's DK Metcalf and he's bigger, it's not. So, yeah, Lions win. Not a perfect game, but Lions win. Speaking of baseball, Pete Rose died during this game or before. So the ESPN was talking a lot about that. I thought that was kind of sad, and as someone who loves football history and baseball history, I was kind of bummed to hear that. He never his lifetime ban from the Hall of Fame is over. He was one of my mom's favorite players. Charlie Hustle, all his stuff, but his post baseball life, the gambling, his treatment of women, his ban from baseball, as I said, really soured him for her. But I always kind of wondered, like, what if Pete Rose, the person, just wasn't somebody we knew as a horrible guy? Would I have heard more about him, as I grow up? So, and Chris Christopherson died. Not to end the podcast on people dying, but it was kind of a significant weekend. So my pitch to the NFL is this for Chris Christopherson: we've got the Velvet Underground NFL Plus commercial Sunday morning. You know, and Lou Reed being in a commercial is already weird enough. So let's get Chris Christopherson in there. Sunday morning coming down. I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. That'd be perfect for NFL Plus commercials, especially for us younger folks who, I'm not the younger folks, but when I was younger, you wake up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt. Chris Christopherson. All right. Kirk and I'll be back Thursday to preview Week 5. Good night.